by Slimani.
What a goal from George Bulldog! Finished by Ollie McBurney.
What is happening, Blades? And it's happened. It's happened. I've finally been kicked out of my kitchen. And I'm in the living room because my wife's having her nails done by a mate on the kitchen table. So anyone would think it weren't a Ramble exclusive space, and it's like for all the family to use. Unbelievable how selfish. But so if anybody wants to become a Rambler and get that garage conversion done quicker, then you're more than welcome. But yes, welcome everybody to the Blades Ramble. We are back again, and we're talking this time about potential incomings. And I say potential, and I'm sorry if my mic's going to be a little bit off, but I've nowhere to put it, so I'm going to try and keep it as still as I can. But yeah, potential incomings, because this is not a done deal yet. We've been linked, can you believe it, to the Ramble zone, and I'm claiming him as our own, Cameron Archer. This lad is a complete game changer, an absolute game changer, no doubt about it. Whether he actually comes is a different thing altogether. So we're going to get into it, but it's not quite as cut and dry as you might think. See, it's a setup this where my daughter's just creeping around the other side and all this sort of stuff, and it's a shambles. So I've been playing dads versus girls tonight, so it's been a right kerfuffle trying to get back in time and get everything set up. And when I walk in, wife's having nails done. So anyway, so Cameron Archer, is he coming? Is he not? What's happening with it? Is it a loan? Is it a permanent? We don't know yet. So for those of you that think I'm coming to tell you that Cameron Archer is definitely signing for Blades, then I apologise, because that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here to say is we're definitely interested in Cameron Archer. It's been widely reported. He has an interest in coming to Sheffield United, no doubt about it. The concern I have, and I think many of us have, is why isn't it happening quicker? And I think there's a few reasons for that. And I think predominantly it's out of our hands because I've seen it reported that, well, we've all seen it, I think. Villa want to do a sale with a buyback. And we would prefer a loan to buy, as we've always talked about as a club. Loan to buys are the sensible way forward. Because if it's a success and we stay up, then we buy him. And it's our option to buy him. And we don't have that huge outlay and the potential for it to become a bit of a Brewster deal. I don't think it ever would be this. I think he's a different level. But with it being the club that wants to sell, then they're in no rush, really, are they, when you think about it? So why would they try and rush through a deal to sell Cameron Archer to us when Fulham have just sold, or just about to sell Mitrovic, so they will have a ton of cash to throw around. So they could maybe squeak another 2 million, another 3 million, another 4, push the price up for Cameron Archer if he's a wanted man. We could soon get priced out of this deal. And even if we're not priced out of it, then it could choose another club over us. I think Fulham would be a more attractive option than us. We've got to be honest with that. Not just location-wise, but they're pretty much an established Premier League club now. So time is against us, really, and there's not an awful lot we can do about it. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable. We've obviously missed out on Chuba Akpom. I don't think it's completely done, that deal, in terms of him going to Ajax, but it's almost done from what I've read. And I think Akpom could have done a job for us, no problem. And I know that's what Eki wanted. Eki wanted Chuba Akpom, and I think he wanted to come to us. Well, I know he wanted to come to us. And we'll maybe talk about that a little bit further down the line about how close that was. But we chose to walk away from that deal, not because we couldn't afford it, because we'd be looking to pay more for Archer. It's nothing to do with affordability. It's value on the player. So we've looked at Akpom and thought, Ajax might be willing to go up to 15 million for him, but we're not. And I think that's good. I back the club on that. I'd pay that for Archer because he's younger. He's got international experience. I think I think this kid has got everything, and I think there's majority of us are on the same page with that. So yeah, it's not quite done on Archer. Tom Davies is another name that's been mentioned recently. It's no secret now, and I think Darren's talked about it online today, that we were after Will Smallbone when Sander left, or when Sander was leaving. Now, Will Smallbone's picked up an ankle injury that's going to keep him out for a couple of months at least, I think, which for me, I think Davies is the alternative to Smallbone. That just makes sense to me. We've been talking to Davies on and off, like we've talked about on Ramble. We've talked to Davies, we talked to Ainsley Maitland-Niles, loads of different irons in the fire, and Davies is coming back up because, and this is purely my assumption, because Smallbone's off the table. I think we'd be going back in for Will Smallbone if he was healthy. But Tom Davies on a free, I've seen some people turn their nose up, say they don't want him. He absolutely strolls into that midfield that we played on Saturday. Absolutely strolls in. He's got 155 Premier League appearances under his belt for Everton. That's not to be sniffed at. You don't just get given Premier League appearances unless you're Ben Osborne on Saturday. That's a joke, by the way, because I thought Ozzy played all right. 25-year-old, again, bringing the age down. If we can get him on a reasonable wage, and then he agrees to the wage reduction on relegation, because let's be right, we have to plan for this. We're not giving up at all. And if we get Cameron Archer, I think he's the difference, if I'm honest. But look at the squad we're building here and the age profile. It's frightening how what I have to say is as well, at the risk of, look, I've come on here and I like to be totally honest with everybody. I do only hear one side of the tale. I don't have any contact with Eki or anything like that. Not because I want to, but because, I don't. I'm a fan and I just speak my mind. And when you hear little bits, then it's interesting and you try and pass that on for whatever you're able to do. But I came on here and I criticised Eki's team selection on Saturday, and I stand by it. I think he's accountable for bringing in certain players. Larouci, or Larouci, as we now sort of say it, I don't think looks up to it, and he did choose Larouci over Ryan Manning. That was his call. He chose to play Basham in midfield and Robinson starting over Trusty. And that's the manager's call. And that's absolutely his right. And he's the manager and he picks the team and he does what he wants. And he's earned that right. But if it all goes wrong, like it did on Saturday, and it could have easily been 3 or 4-0, they had 2 goals disallowed, rightly disallowed. But then he's also not adverse to criticism. We're able to criticise. And if we get these targets, if we get Cameron Archer, and we get even Tom Davies and Cameron Archer, and then a couple of loans to really strengthen us, whether it be McAtee, Cole Palmer, all these names that we've been linked with, whoever it might be, we have done really well. Really well. We've lost Illiman, who was a superstar. We've lost Sander, who was a very good player. But they were both running their contracts down and we knew it. And look at where we're going to be, particularly if we get these signings, Archer being the marquee. So anyway, that's where I am. That's where we are currently. And I'm happy to jump into comments. What I'm going to do, though, this time, I'm not going to be reading everybody's comments. I'm going to try, because we had a couple of that liked to mess about last time. So I'm going to try and get through whatever I can. Might go a bit slower, but I'll just try and get some more meaningful comments in, if you like. So thanks again for everybody for joining us. David Morwood says, evening, Jimmy. Got to sign young Marsh up on a long contract before his boyhood club come calling up the mighty Blades. We are his boyhood club, David. We are. He, for those of you that don't know, Louis Marsh scored a hat-trick and got an assist today as the Blades under-21s won 6-0 against Ipswich. Louis Marsh is not even a prospect. He is the future of this football club. He's a Blade, no doubt about it. We need... there's a lot of uncertainty and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, none of us are sure really and have any clarity as to what the contract situation is with these young lads like Andre Brooks, Arblaster, Louis Marsh, Sai Sachdev. I'd like to think that we've got them all tied down because these lads need some EFL loans now. Get out and do it. Andre Brooks, I think, could stay in and around first team, but it's beggars belief why. I don't want to sound harsh, but I'd have kept Andre Brooks in and around first team over renewing Ozzy and Fleck. But that's me. But yeah, I agree, David. We need to get him on a long contract. And yeah, he's the future of the club, isn't he? Let's be right. Hey up, Jimmy, says Ian. Hey, mate. We need Archer and a few more, in my opinion. So-called relegation favourites. Wolves were on a different level to us, but I'm glad they were on wrong end of that terrible VAR mess up. I was, Ian, to be fair, they looked really good, did Wolves, and I were gutted at that, to be honest, because I were hoping that they would be down there with us, but you're right. I thought they looked on a different level, and how that was not a penalty. I've no idea. Albion Blade says, Jimmy, are you worried the fan base will become restless if Prince Abdullah doesn't get at least 2 more marquee signings in? I think the fan base will become, a certain section of the fan base will be restless anyway. And we've seen the peaks and troughs, haven't we? And it's my first time experiencing it, really, because before I did the Ramble, I was absolutely none the wiser and just had no sort of contact. And I don't have loads now. I don't want to make out like I'm ITK because I'm not that much, to be fair. But when I always used to be like, oh, we need to sign so much. What are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. And now I understand it a little bit more. There's always going to be people that disagree and don't think we're doing enough. And listen, what we're doing now is safeguarding the club. And we've talked about this for a while, haven't we? We are not spending more than we're earning. It's a sustainable model. So we've cleared all the debts, and the wage bill is, and the sort of squad rebuild is all paid from what we're going to earn this year in the Premier League. And that is what the club's decided to do. If we wanted to, we could do what we did last time and push the boat out and bet on ourselves and go against next year's Premier League money as well. But that would obviously mean we'd need survival to not be in a financial mess. But you're speculating to accumulate, aren't you? And you're running that risk. So we could probably sign Cameron Archer, maybe sign Tommy Doyle, maybe, who a lot of people are talking about again. We could maybe do a little bit more in this transfer market. But you've got to weigh it up as to whether it's worth it against the future of the club, haven't you? And the one thing you've got to say is we're probably not being ambitious enough for a Premier League club that wants to stay up. But you could also say if we are to be relegated, we'll be in a very, very strong position. So maybe some would say we're too safe, I think is probably the best way of answering that, mate. Evening, Kev. We don't want to send Louis Marsh out on loan. This young lad is the best young talent I've seen at the lane in 50 years. He needs a shirt number before the big boys come calling. I disagree, Kev. And listen, I've spoken to Louis Marsh a couple of times, to be honest, and I don't. So I want nothing but the best for this kid, and I agree there is the future of the club. But you look at him, and he's a bit slight for me in terms of playing men's football. I'm not saying he won't be capable, and there's a lot of smaller built players that make a success of themselves and what have you. But Illiman would be a prime example. When he first came into the team and he were in and out, he got pushed off the ball too easily. He went away in a closed season, built himself up, and then he were able to hold players off, and he were a lot stronger. And I think a season out on loan, or even half a season for Louis Marsh, will absolutely set him right, and he'll come back and we'll be raring. He'll be in and around first 11, no doubt about it. Stu agrees, Kevin. He wants to see him stay around. Absolutely fine. We might actually stay up, says Brody. Wow. Evening, Jimmy lad. Do you reckon we'll sign Davis or Archer tomorrow? As Darren has said, we're potentially signing someone tomorrow. I don't know about the time scales. Obviously, if they sign tomorrow, they're eligible to play on Friday. I think if anybody's signing tomorrow, it'll be Tom Davis. I don't know that for a fact, but I think he's one that we're able to push the button on, I think, now, if we want to. almost done from what I understand. But again, this is just rumours and no confirmation from the club. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tom signed tomorrow. Evening, fellow Ramblers, says Rich. Evening, pal. What's your thoughts on Davis, Jimmy? Says Stephen. I like him, to be honest. I don't like him as in like, oh, wow, what a massive upgrade. But I think good. He's an upgrade. So if he'd have been available for Saturday, he starts. He's better than Osborne. He's better than Basham in midfield. I'm not so sure he's better than Norwood, the different players. But again, you don't get 155 Premier League appearances for being useless, do you? And he's only 25, remember. It's not like he's had a career at Everton and he's only come off bench and he's 30-odd. He brings that squad age down. I think it's a smart signing. I do, honestly. And Ecky's not got many wrong, has he? Let's be right. Hoping to get Tom Davis over the line, Jimmy. Over 150 Premiership games, says John, under his belt, which I think is vital. Absolutely right, pal. J&A says, Archer is a must, plus 3 or 4 others to add creativity and depth to attack a midfield. If Baldock is injured, we may also have to get a right back. I don't think Baldock's injured. We certainly haven't heard confirmation of that, have we? It looked like, and we were hoping, it's cramp. So if it were cramp, then we're okay. We can't lose George Baldock at this stage of the season. We just can't. We're too thin. Archer, I believe, is a must. I think Archer is possibly the difference between survival and relegation. That's how highly I rate him. 3 or 4 others, I think it'll probably be 3. I think it might be Davis in the midfield and then 2 creative players for me. I think 2 creative players is an absolute must. 2 10s probably, rather than a striker. But that's what I'd be thinking, to be honest. We have to sign players capable of going into the first 11. Yeah, we do, Stephen. Absolutely, we do. No doubt about that. I think everybody's on the same page with that as well. Preferably 2 more and 2 loans. Fingers crossed Archer's 1. Yes, Stu. Me too, pal. Evening, Tim. Speaking as a Blade living in Nottingham, I just want Friday's team to have significant reinforcements. Start some of those who were on the bench, plus Hamer. Yeah, plus, I hope, one other. Yeah, maybe Tom Davis. But again, if it's Tom Davis, he's been without a club, hasn't he? So he won't have had a pre-season. He'll be unfit, basically. Not unfit because they're professionals, aren't they? But he won't be match fit. So if it's Tom Davis, he won't start. I'd be very surprised. We can't go with that midfield from Palace, says Stu. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Stu says, heck, he can be stubborn, sticking with Fleck and Norwood far too long when McAtee and Doyle were available last season. I think that's a danger as well. I think he's too loyal to some players. Look, I'm certainly not against Eki because I think Eki's done a fantastic job with us. But I'd also, there's a tweet just going through now, Sheffield United are close to sealing a deal for Tom Davis. But I do think Eki can be too loyal at times. He wanted to keep Ender and Billy Sharp. So we'd have had 2 less spaces in this squad for all these signings that we all want. And would that really be the best move for us? You've got to be honest. No. I bet if we did a poll, Fleck would not be on anybody's list, really. I reckon 10% would say keep Fleck. I reckon it'd be 50-50 on Osborne. I reckon people would probably side with Jack Robinson, and I can take that on chin, but could have had 2 spare places in this squad, and then we could be filling it up with, Tom Davis don't fill an extra space. He becomes a squad member, doesn't he? So, not adverse from criticism, really. Averse, whatever the wording is. Tom Davis, while being an uninspiring signing, says Wayne, would be useful with his experience. If we get injuries with a small squad, we need players like him. Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Wayne. Davis doesn't excite me, but he has Premier League experience. Is Archer on, says Mo. Archer is on, as in, we are definitely in the mix for Archer. But as I touched on earlier, Luton are in the mix. I think we're a more appealing option than Luton, but it's not my choice. It's the player's choice in that regard. There's loads of championship clubs in from what we keep hearing. Leeds keeps getting mentioned. I'm confident we beat all of them. The danger is if the deal doesn't get done quickly. If the deal doesn't get done quickly and Fulham lose Mitrovic and Crystal Palace still don't feel like they've got enough, then they're a level above, aren't they? I don't mean in terms of club size, but I mean in terms of being established in the Premier League. Then we're in trouble. Then we're in big trouble, I think. It needs to be quick. Do we need height up front? But again, it's not us that are slowing things down and not willing to meet certain criteria. Villa are waiting, because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they wait for a better offer? We need height up front with Archer. Only got Ollie. I put a tweet out there before. There were a bit of a Ollie Mack to Leeds ridiculous rumour going round because he'd liked one at Leeds, Joe Rodon's tweets, who's just gone to Leeds. So I put a bit of a fishing tweet out there. And it weren't to be mischievous. It was just because I know that some fans are split. And I found it be an interesting topic, really. But I put, when I'm not saying, sell McBurney to buy Archer. And loads of people went for me, just like as if I'd tried to sell their children. I was like, I was just sitting back and sort of saying, would that be a... And I was watching replies come in and sort of laughing to myself, thinking, wow, okay. Personally, on McBurney, I like him. I think he fits in well with the squad. I think he's good for team morale. I think he tries. I think he's always injured. I think he's never lived up to his potential, but that's not his fault. He didn't make the price tag. But I don't think he's Premier League quality. So, listen, I don't want to sell him. He's probably our best striker currently. But I think we need to level up, and I think Archer does that. Believe it when I see him holding the shirt, says Sean. Me too, mate. Me too. It's never done till it's done, is it? Been stung before. Evening, everyone. Evening, Messiah. Evening, Craig. I didn't know Chris Wilder were here, but evening to everybody. Jimmy's been kicked out. I know more. I have, mate. Mr. Fencing, I'm sorry. I'll get you a picture. I'll post it in WhatsApp group for members. Where's the famous fence? Evening, Jimmy lads. Evening, just a pleb. Yes, Scott, I've been relegated to the living room. Hey up, Jimmy. Says Youngie, if we do get a goalkeeper, who would you like to see at the club? I mentioned this a few times. We talked about it previously. I like my favourite at the minute in terms of an achievable one is Mike Cooper from Plymouth. He's not going to be on everybody's radar, and even if there were, he might not be top at list. But I think he's an absolute top quality goalkeeper. I think he's out injured till next month, so he couldn't make an immediate impact. And I'm not saying he comes in as a number one, but he certainly challenges Wes. Because I worry about Wes, but Eki doesn't. So again, we've got to back the manager. He's the one that's saying he wants Wes to be the number one, and he doesn't see it as an area that needs upgrading. That's his choice. I also like Victor Johansson at Rotherham, and I don't think he'd be too expensive either. So I think it's worth thinking about for that. Evening, Kristen Powell. Archer would be a brilliant signing for us, improves the team straight away. Any news on Tommy Doyle? Keeps getting mentioned. Tommy Doyle does keep getting mentioned, but not in any conversations I've been in. So if I'm being honest, I would bet against it. And that don't mean it's not happening, by the way. This is an opinion. I've no info either way, but nobody that I do speak to has mentioned Tommy Doyle to me. I've seen him mentioned an awful lot online. I've seen all the cryptic messages that's supposed to be leading to him coming back. But we're signing Tom Davis, apparently, according to Bladesman now, has just reported it tonight. And I know he aggregates news, so I'm not tying that to him if it doesn't happen. But we get Tom Davis in, we've got Osborne, Fleck, Norwood, Slimani, Souza, Davis. For 3 midfield spots, we've got 6. And that's if you don't include Andre Brooks. Harrison Neal's gone to Stevenage, Johnny, but we're done. I think for midfielders, we're done. Whether you appreciate the quality in terms of Fleck and Osborne, and that is, again, is Hecky's choice. This isn't me digging out Hecky. This is an honest assessment. Hecky's choice to keep them. If he'd have let Fleck go on a free transfer, we bring Tom Davis in on a free transfer. That's a like-for-like swap, isn't it? Well, now we're bringing Tom Davis in as the extra body, as opposed to potentially a Tommy Doyle that we'd have paid money for. But in all honesty, I think if we're in on a permanent for Archer, which I think is the deal that Villa want to do, and would be absolutely unreal, I think will more or less be spent up, because we've spent a lot more money than I think people realise, and I don't think we'll then stretch to Tommy Doyle on a permanent. That's just my opinion. We might go for him on loan, but I think we'll try and get the loans to be 10s, because I think we need that between the lines player in the mould, more of a McAtee than a Doyle. Nigel says, I would give my condolences to. Would like to give my condolences to Ollie Arblaster on the loss of his grandfather. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I share those sentiments. Thank you for raising that, Nigel. Just on Blaster, I know you go on to another point here, mate, but just on Blaster, he lost his granddad the night before he played for Port Vale. And the following day, he got man of the match. He started and he got man of the match. So well done, Ollie Arblaster. You've done your family proud there, pal, and all those Blades too. So all the best to you and your family, mate. United are after a Chelsea player, says Nigel. Yeah, Chukwuemeka. I think that's how you say his name. Didn't he? I think he made an appearance for Chelsea the other night. So I'm not sure on that one. And again, if we get Tom Davies, we've flooded midfield, haven't we? We've got 6 midfield options then. Didn't even mention Hamer, did I? Main boy. So it's one of them. Loads. How many more do you realistically see us getting through the door? Possibly money for 1, 2 more signings and any frees. I think, Kristen, yeah, you've nailed it, mate. I think we get 1 more money signing. Hopefully it's Cameron Archer. I think we get a free, which will be Tom Davies, and I think we get 2 loans. But again, that's my opinion. Fairfield says that McBurney rumours true. No, pal, they're not. They're not true. He's not going anywhere. Are we signing? Apparently joining us tomorrow. Darren Smith confirmed, just no name. It looks like it's going to be Tom Davies from reports that are going around. Is Tom Davies fit, says Wayne? No, he ain't, mate. I don't think so. Don't want another. We have to get up to speed if we can help it. I know, but beggars and choosers, mate. I think that's where we are. We're signing for the season, aren't we? Not for Friday's game. Listen, and I'm playing devils by saying that because I would love him to be fit and available too. But I don't think he's going to be. Agree with you, Jimmy, regarding the team selection Saturday. Play Slimani and Sousa until they've nothing left. Absolutely right. Be it 50 minutes or 70, they have to be an upgrade on Ozzy and Bash in midfield. Absolutely right. I didn't get it. I didn't get why we didn't go with them from the start. Try and mark Eze out of the game with Sousa. And just didn't get it. Action location, Jimmy. What about Michael Cooper? We keep banging on about him because Wes just isn't good enough. I agree. He's not. I agree. Do we know for sure that we didn't go for Manning? Or did Southampton offer him better terms and therefore it was a non-starter? We had an agreement in place with Manning. He wanted to come. It were done. It just needed signing off by Eki, but he prefers Larouci. Eki's choice. And people aren't going to... And listen, people might think he's right for that. He's certainly earned the right to make those calls. And Manning, if we're completely being open and transparent, if you saw any EFL highlights, Manning were at fault for Southampton's 4th goal conceded at the weekend. And it weren't great. It weren't great. So, listen, he's not the be-all and end-all in Ryan Manning, but I certainly think he starts over Larouci and Lowe probably for us. But we'll see. Bring back Reece Norrington-Davies there. Brian says, went to watch the under-21s today. Appreciate what's needed now, but the future is bright. Marshy, Brooksy, Hackford, etc. The door is open for them to push on. Absolutely right it is. Sean is in agreement with me here. We can't let Archer slip through the nets. We have to act now before more competition come out of the woodwork for him. I believe in you, Prince Abdullah. We can do this. We can do it. Good evening, Susan. I know you don't do requests, but can you give a shout out to my hubby, Malk? Oh, my word, who's having emergency surgeries. Malk, all the best, pal. Hope it all goes very well. We're thinking about you. It'll cheer him up no end. Signing Cam Archer would also help. I can't promise you that, Malk, but all the best from me and everybody here. And thank you both for your support. It's very much appreciated. You're really helping this channel grow, and I very much appreciate it. So all the best to you. let me know, Susan, how he's got on, please. Yeah, all the best, pal. We're not on TV against Forest. I saw that we weren't on Sky. I don't, because I've got Sky, but because I wanted to do a watch along. But is it on BT or something? Anyway, let me know whether it's on or not. But putting our watch along in jeopardy here, isn't it? Alan Nixon has just reported that we've switched our focus from O'Brien to Davis. I reckon he'll sign tomorrow. O'Brien's definitely still on the radar, or he was before Tom Davis got accelerated. So I don't know whether that's instead of, but it wouldn't surprise me because, as we've talked about, we've got 7 midfielders now. Don't need any more, do we? We need 10s. When I say 10s, I mean like a attacking midfielder, which I wouldn't class as your normal one that are going a flat 3. Why did our game against Forest get moved to Friday night? Don't know. If it's not for TV, it must be for TV. It must be on a different state. It must be on TNT, which were BT. But I might be wrong. Get Marsh on the bench for Saturday, says Andy. Real talent, hoping Archer deal gets done. Jimmy, me too, pal. We have been banging on about this. Honestly, listen, I wasn't the first to see Cameron Archer. I'm not going to claim that I'm the first person ever to think what a talent he was. But he went on loan to Preston year before last and did so well. And from that point, I was like, we need to get hold of this player because he's a game changer and he's only going to get better. And he did. He went out to Middlesbrough, and in 20 games for Middlesbrough, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm bang on with this. In 20 games for Middlesbrough, from the end of January, he played 20 times. He got 11 goals and 6 assists. Unbelievable return. Absolutely unbelievable return. And we've been banging on about it since day one on Ramble because and a lot of people have agreed with me. So as I say, I'm not claiming it as just my call, but people know how much I want this player. So to be so close and to miss out would be absolutely devastating. The fact that our club is even linked with a player of his quality is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Luke says to even have a chance on Friday, Hamer must start. He will. He will. No doubt about it. He's match fit, played for Cov, just didn't sign in time to play on Saturday last week. But yeah. Daryl says, so glad to hear your opinion on Norwood the other day. I thought I was the only one in Bladeland. No, I think Norwood's a bit like Marmite. I think some people love to slag him off, and I'm not one of those. Some people think he's the absolute bee's knees, and I'm not one of those either. I think he's got definite quality, absolute quality. But he's so inconsistent. It's just so frustrating. You can't, 1 in 10 balls now, 1 in 10 set pieces, is decent. 50% of his passes are decent. The rest are absolute dross. He does more than people give him credit for. I will say that. I think he's a lot better at defending and tackling than people seem to recognise. But I think he's becoming a bit of a luxury player for us that we can't afford to carry. Freddie, thank you so much, pal. People don't understand how important this is to the channel to help them help us grow. Obviously, I've been kicked out of my kitchen now. I'm sat on the sofa in the living room. We are aiming to convert the garage if we can. That's the long-term aim. But obviously, everything you're doing, we're hoping. If I'd been set up in my normal place, I've got a new camera that I'm really excited to use. And I've only just got the extra little bits that I needed to make that camera work. So tonight, we're going to be the first time we used it. And that, unfortunately for you guys, you might be able to see my face a little bit clearer. But it's all upgrading, and it's all thanks to you and everybody that supports the channel. And you're just supporting the channel by subscribing, by the way. You don't have to become a paid member. Paid member, you get extra perks, you get exclusive content. You talk to me about what content we're putting out and how to formulate different things. You get into a WhatsApp group where Scott bugs me every day. I can't wait for this window to close, so Scott gives me a little bit of a break. And Scott knows I'm joking because he's very much a valued member of the group. But yeah, it's all going off in there. I have to turn my notifications off and actually do some work. But yeah, thank you to everybody that supports us. It's very much appreciated. Freddie says he loves the streams. Yeah, thank you, pal. We love doing them, don't we? Particularly when it's exciting stuff like incomings. Sam says Traore and Marsh up top, the top 2 for the future. I've not read that right, but yeah. Yeah, they could well be. They could well be. They reach their potential. Wow, what a front two. Asula and as well. I'd have said Jebison, but will he be here? Again, Alan Nixon reporting we're close to Davis. Chatting from Africa. Are there any other players in our sights if Archer doesn't happen? No, and I've been asked about this a little bit. Who else would I go for if not Cameron Archer? Everybody knows Archer's been, I'm not going to keep going on about it, but he's the number one man for me. But, sorry, I'm just getting messages coming through, but I think it's going to be a bit of a downgrade because I think Archer's a different level. But Tom Cannon might be worth a shout at Everton, whether they'd sell to us or even loan to us. He were at Preston last year, had a good season, decent return. Looked like it got stronger as the season went on. I like Keenan Davis, and a lot of people have come at me for saying that online as well. But I think he'd be cheap. I don't think his wages would be cheap. He ran us absolutely ragged at Bramall Lane. He can't score. That's the only problem. He doesn't score, certainly not in the Premier League, but he's got all the other attributes that you need. And that's a red flag, obviously. But think of David McGoldrick. He didn't score for a long, long time. And what he brought to the team made us a better side. Davis is a completely different player, but I think he brings a lot of things to the table. So, Keenan Davis, that is not Tom. Davis has been training with Bristol Rovers. Not sure if he's played any games. I think that was just to get fit. Now you've said that, Jordan, it's reminding me, to be fair. But again, if he's not match fit, we know what Ecky's like anyway. And this isn't a criticism, but I think he's overcautious, isn't he, with players and fitness and things. So we'll see. Nathan Yates says it would be an additional bonus if we land Archer, as Leeds had interest in Hamer and now Archer. Absolutely right. I'd love to do them. Tom Davis is an alternative to Lewis O'Brien. Good option. Oh, is that you breaking that news? Is it, Scott? Thank you, pal. Michael says we're desperate for creativity. We need a goal threat. Archer and Hamer will help. I think the game changes. Honestly, I do. Those two signings level us up. Absolutely brilliant. I'm scared Davis will get the 22. And Ian says, I want to see that Doyle welcome back tweet. I'm not sure we'll see it, lads. I'm afraid. I can't promise you that. Ian says, happy with Davis, good footballer. He's a good footballer. I think so too. Lee says, personally, I think Tom Davis is a good, solid, experienced signing who will press hard for the first 11 and definitely improve the match day squad. Absolutely, he will, Lee. Me and Lee are on a very similar wavelength a lot of the time. And this is my thoughts on it too. It doesn't excite me particularly. It don't make me think, oh, brilliant. This is an absolute... It's not a Hamer signing, is it? Certainly not an Archer signing. But it's a good, solid addition. I like it. If we really want Premiership football for more than one season, says Anne, we have to push the boat out a bit and get them two players, Cameron Archer and Tommy Doyle, and finish off with two loans. If not, we could be down early doors. I think we're trying to push the boat out for Cameron Archer. And I think, I assume you're meaning Tommy Doyle. You might be meaning Tom Davis, but I think Tom Davis is the alternative to Doyle. And I think with two loans, we will get two loans, I think. So, yeah, I think we'll be all right, and we'll probably get close to what you're wanting, hopefully, if Archer comes. Wow, things are going quick. Alan has just said we're planning to have a medical for Davis this week. We are. We're hoping to get him in before game. We want him in match day squad if we can, from what I'm hearing. Michael says a left back after Saturday is a must now for me. Low and LaRucci are not up to it. Well, is that you calling Ecky? Michael, are you calling Ecky there with his call for LaRucci? Can't do that, mate. Can't do that, I'm afraid. We won't get a left back. We will not, because that'd be 4 on the books, because Reece is obviously here as well. Reece Norrington Davis is our number one left wing back. And it'll take him a while to get up to speed. I don't think we'll see him before November, but we're not going to have 4 left wing backs on books. We just won't do it. Particularly the fact if you consider that Hecky thinks Osborne can play there as well. Yeah. Sean's going with Baldock, Anel, Egan, Trusty, Lower or Reece Norrington Davis, Sousa, Doyle, Hamer, McBurney, Archer. That starting 11 has a fighting chance. Well, we're going to have to swap Doyle for Davis, aren't we? But yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. That's a real fighting chance. If Archer falls through, who do you see as another striking option that Eki fancies? I don't know who Eki fancies. Eki wanted Akpom instead of Archer, which I don't agree with, but I'm not the boss. I think Archer will be a better signing than Akpom, personally. Don't know who Eki likes. I can tell you who I like, which I've just done, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Keeper to go for, in my opinion, Jimmy, is Lee Nichols at Huddersfield, says Lee. Yeah. And as you put forward, Johansson at Rotherham. Lee Nichols, very good keeper. Got beaten at his near post at weekend, but that were a fluke looking at it and a very rare mistake. Always looks really solid, does Lee Nichols. He put in that game. He also put in a lot of good saves as well. Saved a 1-on-1, I think, at one stage. So I won't be against that either. Evening, Forest Spirit. Nice to speak to you the other day. Been on Twitter all day looking for info on Archer. Me too. And not just there. I've been digging elsewhere as well and not got the answer I wanted yet. By the way, when you get back off your holiday, we are virtually training together. Get ready. Where? Don't know. That's a bit cryptic. It seems wages are a stumbling block for Doyle. Don't believe everything you read, Chris. I would love nothing more than to see him at United, but we can't keep waiting on him. We need players fast. Archer's the main man for me. Absolutely right. Just to sort of clarify on that point I made on Doyle. But my understanding is, all the way through, Doyle's issue has not been the wages. It's not been the fee. Doyle doesn't want to commit to the relegation release clause, and I don't blame him for that. Not release clause, reduction, wage reduction. We have a 40%. I don't think it's necessarily always 40. It might be 30 for some, 50 for others, whatever it might be. But the general feeling is it's around 40. Doyle doesn't want to commit to that, and I don't blame him. He's at City. We'll pay him same as he's on at City. But why would he risk going down and losing 40% of his wages? It don't make sense. He's got to back himself at some point, though, hasn't he? But he wants to come, no doubt about it. All three parties are like him here. Us, City, and himself. Evening, Paul. If we can't get Archer, then who do we go for? Phil will panic buy someone if he doesn't come. I know I've covered that, Paul, and you've mentioned it before, but we might. I don't know. I'm hoping for Archer. I feel like the team is desperate for a really athletic midfield. We are. Well, we haven't seen enough, have we, Wayne, at new signings? Slimani, I think, looks all right. I don't think he's going to get a sniff, though, really, if we get all the targets we want, because we've still got two attacking midfielders to come in my opinion. But I think Sousa looks a bit of an athlete to me in terms of how he'll get up and down the pitch. Hamer's no slouch at all, works really hard, like a bit of a pit bull in midfield. I think we're going to be all right. Lee says, I would like to take a punt on Max Bird from Derby as a player. Yeah. Player with potential who we add to the squad, has over 200 games already at Champ League 1, would allow Brooks, etc., to go out on loan. Yeah, another midfielder. I'm not so sure, mate. I don't dislike him as a player. Really hope Eki changes that midfield against Forest. Me too, pal. If Robinson plays, can see him losing his cool and getting sent off. Do you know what? I think I don't like Lowe and I don't like Larouci. I'm not a massive Robinson fan, as you all know. But I'd probably try Robinson at left wing back and bring Trusty in at left centre back. Because then we get to have his long throw. If he makes a mistake out at left wing back, it's not as damaging as at left centre back. I don't know. It's an option, isn't it? All matches are on TV box. I don't know if you mean dodgy box. Palace are offering 10 million for Che Adams. Could he be an option? Not for me, James. I don't think he fits the age profile. He'll be on big money. Cameron Archer fits better, doesn't he? He does for me anyway. Plus, we're not going to. He's not going to choose us over Palace either, is he? Let's be right. It moved because at cricket match on Saturday. Oh, fair enough, David. Fair enough. So it's not. It might not be on TV. It was switched due to cricket. Yeah, okay. I have a feeling Davies will be a squad replacement for Fleck. We only have 4 spots available. I don't think he will, Scott. I think Fleck stays in squad. And Forrest not on TV. Yeah. I said we're going to look at these a little bit more, didn't I, before I didn't see Danny's original comment, but Rifat's saying, disagree with Lingard. So do I. We shouldn't be anywhere near Jesse Lingard. We can't afford a showboater in our squad, someone that He's on much more than the rest of the squad. Absolutely, Rifat. You bang on. Don't want Lingard anywhere near. Not for me. I went to football training tonight with my daughter. We ended up playing a dads versus girls game. But one of the lads, I said I'd call him out, but I won't do that to you. While we're talking about Lingard, and it's not in the same vein, obviously, but you'll see why I'm linking it. Mason Greenwood. If you were offered Mason Greenwood on loan, where Man U were going to pay all his wages for the season, would you take him? I said not a chance. He said different. He said he'd take him in an heartbeat because it's all about the talent. So, yeah, let me know if you have any strong thoughts on that, but I don't want him in anywhere near club either. Mr. Vancouver, hi, Jimmy. Good to see you again. I'm joining late, so forgive me if you've already gone through this, but how close are we to getting Archer? We're talking to him, mate. We think we can do a deal, but I think Villa aren't in much of a rush. They're going to see what offers they've got on the table, and it makes me nervous. I have to agree with you. Jimmy says Scott Archer needs to get done quickly. Palace losing Elise and possibly Eze. Fulham losing Mitrovic. Everton very little up top as the window gets closer to shutting. Yeah, let's get it done. Even if you have to pay a little bit more. Rifat, I'm reading this out of respect, my friend, because I agreed with your Lingard comment. But if you give Norwood space, he's a great player. Isn't a great start for me. But teams know how to close him. Here we go. Yeah, you're right. Teams know how to close him down quickly. That's why he's become less impactful over time. But if Hamer can keep opposition players busy, Norwood could potentially have a better season. I heard somebody else say that Norwood, if he's not like the main man, the pivot man in midfield, or essentially a double pivot, then he might be more effective. And that's, we might get to see, might we? Jimmy, can we arrange a Ramblers night out when we stay up? We certainly can, Bri. Absolutely right. Yeah, down at Triple Point. Listen, I have a Ramblers day out every home game at Triple Point. So if anybody wants to come down there, you're more than welcome. And if Triple Point are watching, how much free advertisement do you want? I thought we were supposed to be getting together to do some sort of deal. What's going off? Call me. Eki just doesn't want another injury. Andy the Blade wants his own table. I've told you this. So anybody at Triple Point, get it sorted. Eki just doesn't want another injury crisis. That's why I think he's being cautious. Yeah, I don't blame him for being cautious, but there's points to be won here, isn't there? If we were away at Arsenal, then I'd say don't risk them. But we're away at Forest and we don't want to get done at Forest away. We'd much rather have Tommy Doyle back than Davis. Yeah, but you're paying a loan fee, aren't you? For Tommy Doyle. No loan fee involved with Davis. If you're buying Tommy Doyle, it's a huge outlay. Tommy Doyle is a better player in my eyes. But I don't think Davis is a bad signing. And we've got to think, are we playing it off so that we can get Cameron Archer? And if that's the case, I'm all for it. Keenan Davis could be a great foil for Archer. Absolutely, Lee. As is McBurney. But both are injury prone and neither have set the leagues on fire over the last few years with goal records. Signing Keenan Davis would worry me. I thought we were mates, Lee. I thought we were mates. Deary me. Rafi says, who do you reckon the 2 number 10s on loan will be? Well, I'll throw that open to you guys because who would you like to see? I know a lot of talks about McAtee. I'd love to see McAtee back. Whether Pep wants to loan him to us because he's been involved at City recently. I think a lot of people were talking about Cole Palmer earlier on. But again, is he a bridge too far? I think he probably could be. I'd love to be proven wrong. I like Amad Diallo at Man U, who are obviously on loan at Sunderland last season, but I think he's injured at the moment, isn't he? I don't know how long he's out for. There'll be other players as well that we hadn't really thought about. I don't know if Elliot Anderson's getting in at Newcastle. There's a few. So, but I'm open to discussions. I'm sure somebody will drop in. There's Eddie Incompatible that plays in Jamaican League. That's fair dues. I'll take your word for it. But if you can probably lean towards players I've heard of. Eki's cautious, but when you have players like Sick Note Brewster, who's always injured, fair dues, Neil. Fair dues. Oh, Jimmy, you've upset me now with Doyle. Sorry, mate. Sorry. Listen, he might come. It's just my opinion that I don't think he will. The the numbers don't add up for me. I don't mean financially. I mean in midfield bodies. And again, whose choice is it to renew Fleck and Ozzy? So I'm not trying to turn anybody, but I just think there should be accountability here for every decision that's made. You know, we could have had Tom Davies and Tommy Doyle and no Fleck, but it were Ecky's decision to keep Fleck. Tom Davies is a hard worker and very combative. I reckon Blades will take to him. I think so too, pal. I think so too. Archer alternative, says Bladesman. Here we go. Anastasios Duvakos, Utrecht, or him who scored hat-trick for Stuttgart. Yeah, I've heard the big number 9 into Duvikas. I've seen him mentioned a couple of times. I think you might have mentioned him, Bladesman. Somebody else has brought him up to me as well. And obviously, big lad at Stuttgart. We all saw then, didn't we? And tore us apart, really. Yeah. I've just seen something else. I hope Davis doesn't change our transfer plans as I want Archer permanent. Me too, pal. Doyle on loan, and then we're desperate for a number 10 like Ahmad or somebody like that. Smithy Boy 85, Dave the Blade. Never mind these other transfers. Are we any closer to agreeing terms with Andy the Blade before the end of the window? I've heard his demands are ridiculous. Yes, they are, pal. They're absolutely outrageous. But, and I can reveal this exclusively on the Ramble, Andy the Blade has agreed to come back on. And we're going to dip our toes in at the end of the transfer window. And we just have to keep chipping away at him. We're going to do a transfer window special and sort of break down the Blade window and what we think about it. But Andy the Blade, exclusive for you there. For everybody tuned in now, all 428 here. So give it a like if we want Andy the Blade back. And that'll be brilliant. And subscribe if you're not already. I see we've got a new member coming in who I will come to. I can't see who it is at the moment, but thank you to everybody that supports this channel. It's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unreal. Chirac, are we being positive tonight, pal? I know you're normally against the majority of things that the club do, but Chris the Blade, and I'm highlighting this for a reason, Susan, we'll end up with Ched Evans back at this rate. Well, none of us want that, do it. Listen, Ched did a great job for us. We've got good memories of Ched in a Blade shirt. If what happened to Ched hadn't have happened, Pigs wouldn't have overtaken us that year, no doubt about it. But Susan might be interested in this. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave that like that because I think you know what I'm talking about. Sean says, get these players we are linked with, then relegation won't seem so daunting. We'll be in an amazing position to bounce straight back with player ages, contract lengths, and overall talent. Absolutely, Sean. That is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is we go down. Listen, we could have kept Illiman, we could have kept Sander. Both would have been unhappy because we'd have turned down the moves that they wanted. They'd walk away for nothing, and we could have been relegated anyway. So we end up in the Championship next season. No Gus Hamer, no Cameron Archer, no fee for them, no money in. What a position to be in. And look at us now. Look at us now. And it's not happened yet, has it? We haven't got Archer. And a lot of it hangs on this Archer signing for me. But we'll see. Jake says, my thing with Archer is we have to gamble now. Even if we could afford when we go down by not spending now, Championship teams will kill to get him, but he won't drop back to the Championship. Absolutely right, Jake. So what you're saying is get him now on a permanent, and even if we go down, even if it's overstretching ourselves and we go down, then we've got the best Championship striker in the league, haven't we? In Cameron Archer, tied to us as a club. Yeah, I completely agree. There's no way he's losing value. Certainly not playing in Championship. Mr. Vancouver says, don't want Greenwood anywhere near our club with his sexual predator instincts. What kind of a message does that say to a family club? Absolutely right. Tick in the box for Mr. Vancouver. What about Dembele at Birmingham? He rang rings round Leeds at snip at 2 million. He's been a great signing for him, Kev, but he's only just gone there, hasn't he? We won't get him now. But I thought he looked decent when he played. Did he play against us for Peterborough, or were he out of the team then? Can't remember, but for me, he's one of them that's too good for Championship, not good enough for Premier League. So if we'd have signed him from Bournemouth, I wouldn't have been upset. But I don't think there's too many dissimilar attributes to him and Traore. Looking at him, just obviously I've not seen enough of Traore, but similar type of player from what I've seen. Evening bids. What about Billy signing for LA Galaxy? Fantastic. How good is that, Billy Sharp signing for LA Galaxy? What a move for him. I heard somebody say he hadn't taken his family over. Well, from what I understand, and I've only seen brief stuff on it, it's for like a 4-month contract. Well, it's 4 months till end of their season, so he's got a deal till end of MLS season. But there's also an option for a further year. Surely, if he gets that further year, his family go out with him, and they're just making a new life for themselves, and they can just do a year there, can't they? And come home then and do whatever he needs to do. But what a move in terms of lifestyle. Absolutely brilliant. Bryn, thank you, pal. Means an awful lot. Very much appreciated. And hope you enjoy the content and the extras that you get by becoming a member. Really does help the channel. Thank you. Gift Orban only Archer replacement. I'll take your word for it, Rifat, my old friend. Bladesman from the Lane says, Will Smallbone from Southampton apparently fell through due to the injury which is sustained at the weekend, which will keep him out for months. That's a shame. That's right. Bladesman, that's what I've heard as well. We would have gone back in for Smallbone if he hadn't got injured. It's just one of them things, unfortunately. Tom Davies probably won't be coming. But again, then we'd be spending more money. And would there be enough in pot to get Archer permanent? Maybe these things happen for a reason, you know? Tom Davies is another Osborne, runs around and can play numerous positions. Maybe. We should have signed Dennis Undav from Brighton. Yeah, good player. Good player. Yeah, let's just do this action location. Can we find another Tony Curry, please? If only all the problems would be sorted. Yeah, they would. Honestly, the amount of times Andy the Blade has talked to me about Tony Curry, and then we met him. He's met him before, but we met him at a dinner we were at with Cammy Clang, just to drop some names in there. But we met him at a dinner, and my dad got to buy him a drink and tell him how much it was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's his favourite player of all time. I agree, Jimmy, about Fleck. We've had more Jimmy Fleck than John Fleck, and Ozzy is I'm glad that got cut off there, Neil. But yeah, I agree. I don't rate either of them at this stage, unfortunately. Have a look at Sebastian Nanasi at Malmo. Looks like a player who we should be looking at for the number 10 role before he comes too expensive. I'm sure we're aware of him, Lee, to be fair. Anybody at Malmo or in the Scandinavian leagues, we've obviously picked up a few players from there. So, yeah. Dean Spellman, welcome, pal. Thank you very much for your support. Very much appreciated. Again, I hope you enjoy the extra content. You're getting an extra sort of perks and included in WhatsApp group if that's what you want to. That's what you want to do. Is the deadline for signing players in time for his 12 noon on Thursday? I believe so. Yeah, I think it's a full working day before kickoff, isn't it? So yeah, because the deadline was Friday for Hamer and he had the medical Friday night. We can't really lose Archer regarding resale. No, we can't, mate. We can't. It's a no-brainer. But again, I don't think it's anybody's fault on our end from what I'm hearing. We are making the moves. We are down the line with certain elements of it. And again, this is only what we're picking up from reports. But why are Villa in a rush when they could potentially have a bit of an auction on their hands? So this is why if we have to go over the odds a touch or dip into next season budget, is worth it. Is worth it for me. Susan, I was hoping the Evans foot in mouth comment had gone under the radar. Thanks for the shout out to Malk, my dear. No problem. Hope everything's going all right for Malk. And please do let me know how he gets on. Thinking about you, pal. Hi, Jimmy. Greetings from Crete. Yeah, greetings, Pete. I love it when our ramblers and subscribers come on and tell us all about where they are in the world when we're stuck at home in the rain. Crazy, not stupid too. You're not crazy to me, pal. Thank you very much for the support. Very much appreciated. We will be in that garage in no time. Come on, Andy the Blade, says Stu. Come on, Andy the Blade. This is a message to you. He's coming back on anyway, Stu. So, but I want him as a permanent fixture. I want him on post-match. He'll calm me down and balance me out a little bit. We need you back. We need you back, says Stu, and loads of people agree. Rifat, not supporting Greenwood, but he was a young man who had everything handed to him on a plate. Now that he knows it can be taken away just as quickly, maybe he can turn. Listen, I hope he does turn his life around. I wouldn't want him at our club because we're a family club, and I think some things are unforgivable or certainly very hard to forget. And I'm not going to get too deep into it, but he's not for me. He's not for me. But fair play for wanting to give him a second chance, and I'm all for that for some. Michelle Miller, hi, Jimmy. Started listening to you since I can no longer listen to praise or grumble. Why not? Why not? I like to listen to praise or grumble every now and again. My daughter is awfully upset about the Palace game. Can it be replied? Can it be replayed, maybe? I wish it could be. I wish it could be. Well, thank you, Michelle, for jumping on and listening to us. I really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the content. And yeah. If your daughter wants to pick me up, then hopefully she finds it in this channel as well. Make sure she subscribes. Oh, dear. Smallbone would have been a silly signing, says Goatee, after signing Sousa. I've seen a lot of people not that keen on Smallbone. I think he's one of those that goes under the radar a little bit. Listen, he's a little bit in the Tom Davies ilk for me. The different players, but in terms of they're not going to blow your socks off, are they? He spent a season on loan at Stoke last year and didn't pull up any trees, Smallbone. But his stats are very good. He's one of these that, people who don't see much of Ollie Norwood don't really rate him because they don't watch him enough. I think Smallbone's a little bit like that. So a better player than people think. But again, I don't think there's much in it between him and Davis. Excuse me. I don't think that Chuckle lad from Chelsea would have been a good option. His playing time will be limited with Lavia and Caicedo joining. Yeah, I agree. And I don't think he's off the table, Scott, but can he play a little bit further forward? Because I think we're stacked now. If Davies comes in, we are stacked for a midfield, as in like a traditional centre midfield. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping now. Yes, I don't know. If we get Archer, him and Asula are a strong top two with McBurney being injured. Yeah, I think they probably blend quite well together. Somebody else had mentioned a fit Brewster, which is a rarity, and Archer could well be a dangerous combo as well. Is Hamer as good as Coventry fans think? Yes, he is, Rafi. Someone was saying he'll end up best Blades player since TC. I saw that. That was a well-respected journalist that Alan Biggs retweeted. And he said, honestly, he's the best. He saw Tony Curry play, this journalist. And he said he'll be the best player at the Lane since Tony Curry. Now, I've seen Illiman and Die, so he's got to go some to be, obviously, different players. But he's got to go some to be the best player that I've ever seen. For me, the barometer will be if he's better than Illiman and Die. But I'm very excited by Hamer. I think 4 years plus one is unreal. We've got him for his best years. And don't do a United and sell him if we go down, because he'll be the difference for us, I'm sure of it. I wouldn't take Greenwood now, says Rifat, but I wouldn't say never. If he shows a change of attitude and grows up, I would take him in the future. I know how stupid I was at 17, but not as stupid as him. Yeah, fair dues, mate. If we sign Archer, I'll buy us a Ramblers box for alt members at the Lane. Don't be saying stuff, Kev, that you don't follow through on. So we might have a box, courtesy of Kev, for all the Ramblers. Wow. Well, there's a few of us now, mate. So it might be either more than one box or we'll be a bit like sardines. How much do you think Archer will be, Jimmy? Good question. I heard that the muted figures were similar to what, what's his name? Aaron Ramsey went to Burnley for. So what they've done is, I think they've sold him for 14, which is a steal, and then a low buyback, so maybe 25 or 30. So I'm happy for us to do that deal for Archer. Don't get me wrong, there'll be some blades that come on and say, I can't believe Prince has put a buyback in, but that's the deal we have to make to get him. So right now we snap their hand off for that. Frank says, for me, TC is second only to Woody. I said before, we need a clone of both. Hey up, Andy, lad. Yeah, well, it's all about opinions, Frank. But I don't know many that have seen TC play that don't say he was the best ever. So I think you're probably in the minority there, mate, but it don't make you wrong. Oliver says, got a sneaky feeling Archer ends up at Everton. Not having that. Really hope not, but would be typical of our luck. Stu, thank you. Is that a super sticker or a super chat? I'm not entirely sure. 20 euros. Bloody hell. Thank you, mate. Very much appreciated. You didn't have to do that. You already support us. We should sign that Iliman and Die from Marseille. It looks decent. It does, yeah. It don't look too bad, to be fair. Evening, Jimmy says, Lee, cracking show as always, pal. Thank you, pal. I saw you went to Lane with your kids like you were going to do. I saw your pictures on Instagram. Looks like they had a great time. And I hope they're both all right. Shame about result, wasn't it, really? I do rate Smallbone highly, but he's not the profile we need to partner Sousa. No, I think that's fair, mate. I think that's fair to say. Get Ben Woodburn back for the number 10 role. Lee, come on, mate. Good job. I know you're joking. Hypothetical, says Chris. Does our team that finished last season beat that Palace side? Debate between me and my pal. Yeah, I think we do. With Tommy Doyle, Sander, McAtee, and especially Illiman. We beat that team. I think they were there for taking, weren't they, for a better side? Lisa's 100% agree with you on Hamer. I think he's going to be that good. Illiman will be a distant memory. Wow, that is huge. That is huge, mate. And we're just about coming to the end. So I think we've done all right tonight. I work in the Midlands with a Coventry City season ticket holder. He says Hamer's the best player he's ever seen at Cov. And he's about 50-year-old. That'll do for me, pal. That will do for me. Jimmy, the perfect pair up front. Dean Nagana. Yeah. Again, my dad were a massive fan of Dean Nagana. Just a little bit before my time, but obviously that's where all the great memories started, really, weren't it, for my dad's generation in terms of climbing back up the leagues till Dean went to Leeds. It's Brewster fit and ready to play, not injured. I think he's on his way back, He's on his way back, but I don't think he'll be ready. Might make the bench. I don't know where he is with his fitness. Hamer absolutely loved by Cov fans. They're still wishing him all the best even after he's left. Yeah, he says it all, doesn't it? Bit like us with Illiman, really, when it all dust settles. If we get Archer says action location, you'll get your nails done in the kitchen. Will you get your nails done in the kitchen? I'll do it. Yeah. If we get Archer, yeah, I will. I'll do whatever you want, really. I'll have no shame with that. Top gig as always, says Stu, top man. Thank you so much, mate. You didn't need to send us that donation. It's very much appreciated. Yeah, and that's it. We're going to call it there, I think. Thanks again, says Chris, and thank you to everybody that's joined us tonight. If you enjoy what we do, please do subscribe to the channel. It's very much appreciated, all the support we get. If you want to become a member, you're more than welcome. Thanks to those that have joined tonight. You get access to a WhatsApp group that's become probably the driving force of a lot of people wanting to join because you're trying to pilfer me for information, and I probably do give a little bit too much out there, but yeah, thanks to everybody that supports the channel. It's very much appreciated. Anytime I get any news about who's coming in, who's not coming in, then I'll be jumping back on. So hit that notification bell so you know. And if everybody can like, it'd be much appreciated because it helps the algorithm, helps it get more eyes on. Thank you, Adam. Much appreciated, pal. And I'll see you all very soon. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the